2025 was a fucked-ass year for pro wrestling where everything in the industry centralized around the two major American promotions. The decade itself has been the final nail in the coffin of mid-sized wrestling promotions. The two mid-sized American companies at the start of the decade in TNA and Ring of Honor are now subsidiaries of WWE and AEW, officially in AEW's case and at arm's length, but obvious in TNA's. This is tragic, honestly. The view of what good wrestling is and what it can be is being directed through the view of a handful of powerful people. What Ring of Honor was is gone. What Evolve was is gone. What Impact was is gone, even if it isn't owned by anyone. Whether or not you believe these companies reached their full potential is completely irrelevant to this conversation. There are less opportunities for people to create their niche like they once did. Bryan Danielson, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Jonathan Gresham, Zack Sabre Jr. So many people made their name and became undeniable through work in these mid-sized promotions. What mainstream wrestling was at that point wouldn't accommodate them. Wrestling changed because they had the platform to create their own niche. That doesn't really exist right now. If you're not impressive to Tony Khan or to Triple H, you're shit out of luck in America. Because the indies are struggling as well. The height of the independents last year was Deadlock Pro Wrestling along with its partners in Prestige and West Coast Pro. All three showed off exciting talent in a way that amplified their best qualities and made for great viewing throughout that year. Two of those promotions have now closed their doors. The WWE especially is more of a stain on the world stage than it is a help. Frankly, more alarm bells should have been set off when they just pulled GHC Tag Team Champion Omos out of nowhere for no reason. A good story brewing. He really fit in that environment. Nah mate, just give him back. We're not going to do anything with him. The Fed will performatively do these one-off acts of kindness, like sending Io Shirai to Marigold or AJ Styles to Noah. But I live in the UK. The WWE have done this before. It never ends well. They're not your friend. They are looking to either buy you out or push you out of town. The most obvious example of this is WWE buying AAA and turning it into what is functionally WWE Mexico, with views, according to the Wrestling Observer, of turning it into an American promotion. In the long term, I feel this will make the scene a lot less welcoming to mini and exotical workers. I can't see WWE wanting to utilize them for their brand. I mean, look how Triple H reacted to Pimpinella existing on the show. They've ran some damage control since then, but I doubt Triple H will really care about what makes somewhere unique. They won't care what made these promotions feel special or vibrant or full of life. Eventually, everything will become as homogenized as Raw or SmackDown or NXT. I'm well aware that Triple H isn't booking AAA. That responsibility has been passed over to The Undertaker, but his disregard for what wrestling is in the region has been made very apparent by his podcast. He straight up sat there and claimed not to know who CMLL are when Rey Mysterio mentioned wanting to work there when he was younger. The best read I can give this is that he's jokingly enforcing some policy on this podcast since it's affiliated with WWE to not bring up any competition. But at that point, you're so stupid for not briefing Rey Mysterio. Why didn't you brief him? There are two non-charitable ways to look at it. Number one, Undertaker is being a petty little bitch, and honestly, honey, I love that for you, but it's not a good look. Or, he's ignorant of his main competition and the oldest promotion in the world. This one rings doubtful, but as a WWE lifer, I can see him being caught so much in that bubble that ignorance of the rest of the industry just naturally happens. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I was a big fan of AAA before they were bought by the Fed. I wasn't. I've seen a fair bit of their historically loved matches, and in the modern day, I would dip in if something interests me. I'd sometimes see a spot and go out and view the match. When I saw Viano Quattro was obviously going towards an aposta in the Roulette de la Morte back in 2022, I would watch that. But I was no fan. But as I mentioned earlier, whether or not I was personally a fan of this promotion is irrelevant to the point I'm making. When it comes to a larger wrestling promotion where someone could create their niche, there's one less in the world now. What good wrestling is and what it can be is being filtered through the lens of WWE and Triple H and a friend that thinks very similarly to him. Cards on the table, I really like the Americano versus Americano match. Gable and Bartel are very good wrestlers with very good track records and have crafted something very good, outwardly special even. I've said to some friends that this feels like an NXT TakeOver main event that's wearing a Lucha Libre mask. But I liked a lot of the TakeOver main events as they were happening. And boy, I haven't been following this feud, but the hype package really drew me in. Leaning into those comic book aesthetics, making it feel more genuine than I expected given Lucha Libre's history of making the wrestlers real-life heroes. The entrances were pitch perfect in conveying who the hero was and who the villain was. Gabo trying to steal a kid's mask was great imagery, and Bartel hugging the crowd, pitch perfect grade A babyface shit. The start of the match is hot when Gable jumps Bartel with a Jeff Jarrett. Bartel constantly fights from underneath, and his shine shines so bright when he's on top. Gable was a fantastic heel. He knew exactly when to stop and take in the boos of the crowd for maximum impact. There was interference, but the interference was pitch perfect in the pace of the match, working as an effective heel tactic onto a fun babyface shine as opposed to just a way to hold the momentum. Along the way, there are gnarly bumps, there are big character moments. It keeps your attention for the full 30 minutes, something that's hard to do for a long match when you're cold watching it like I was. The crowd were also so obviously electric. If I have a nitpick with the match, I wish they'd have went into the crowd proper. They brawled outside, but aside from a few moments, it did feel like they kept the crowd, which was keeping this match as electric as it was, at arm's length. Moments with the crowd can be such highlights of Lucha Libre. Whether that's a child from the crowd coming out and trying to get El Hijo del Santo back into the fight after he lost the first fall to Espanto Jr. in their famous Apuesta, or LA Park and Roosh spilling out into the crowd, creating a very, very unpredictable environment. I bring this up not because I think this actively hurt the match, but because I think it could have made the match that is great even better. With the exception of the few hype beasts I've seen call this the greatest mask match of all time, I agree with most every positive thing I have seen someone say about this match. I've read such wonderful takes on this match, whether it's from friends or just people online. It's a wonderful piece of pro wrestling. If I do an end of year list this year, it will probably be on it. But the success of this match is what I hate. As silly as it might sound, it's gonna sound dramatic, but it's a great match that's a front for a greater evil. The continued success of WWE's worldwide expansion is only a bad thing for the wider scene in pro wrestling. I mentioned earlier wanting more voices in the room, and as that room shrinks and has less people shouting, I don't want WWE's voice to be the loudest. A couple of people got mad at me on my last video because I got a bit political, so to them, I'm sorry, I guess, I don't know, but WWE and its parents company TKO are very heavily and intimately involved with a fascist world leader. The man's actions are having a much wider effect beyond his own country as he bullies on the world stage and breeds copycats. The Reform Party in the UK are currently tipped to win the next election, and if they do, they want to create an ICE-style organisation to remove people from the country. There are people who were at my wedding who could be forcibly removed from their home thanks to the ripple effects of this man. So I'm sorry, when I see WWE's aggressive global expansion projects like this, or WWEID, or the now dead NXT UK, or their constant invoices that never quite work out into Japan, all I see is WWE trying to make the wrestling world fit into their vision so they can make the money off of it, and their voice and their influence is something they're more than happy to be tainted by evil people. I was told by one commenter on my last video to keep politics out of wrestling, but wrestling is inherently political, whether it's the stories or the decisions WWE makes. Again, like being in bed with Donald Trump or being in bed with the Saudi Arabian government. It's not the match's fault, but I can't help but have these thoughts when I watch Americano versus Americano. I can't fully enjoy this great match because of the nefarious nature behind it. This great match that feels like one of the better NXT TakeOver main events happened because of WWE just buying a promotion and moving themselves to Mexico. I wish that I could just enjoy this great match, say how great it is and move on with my life, but the environment in which it happens sets off alarm bells, and I wish I lived in the world where I could just enjoy it. Oh my god. Even beyond the political aspect, I don't like when powers in wrestling centralize as much as they have. When Stardom was bought by Bushiroad, As they made the Cinderella tournament feel more like the New Japan Cup, as they made the 5-star Grand Prix feel more like the G1 or Champion Carnival, as main events started to feel more like New Japan main events, I felt the vibrant fun that I came to this promotion for disappearing. Ring of Honor, as it existed in 2020 and 2021, was one of the most tightly booked wrestling experiences of my life. It may be the case that the matches weren't as outwardly great if you watch them divorced from the product, but the product they produced captured my imagination so much that I never missed a week. And if I did miss a week, I would watch whatever weeks I had missed before I caught up. I wanted to see everything from the promotion. The love of this product led me to meet one of my favorite people, not only in this space, but just in general, because of our shared love of this product. I love you, Forrest. Keep up the great work, Brother Bear. But now, it's AEW Dark, but with belts and a legacy name. No different from WWE ECW. Sure, they can run good programs sometimes. Athena's run has been amazing. The Claudio vs Eddie Kingston feud was the highlight of that year. Even this year, they have great talent hanging out down there, like Adam Priest, Anthony Henry, Trish Adora, JD Drake, among so many others, just kind of chilling until they get their chance to show up on Dynamite. But at the end of the day, it's just another AEW show. Even at its height, the programs feel like AEW programs, in the same way that this match felt like an NXT match to me. That's not a slight on the programs, of course they feel like that, it's who's booking them. But fuck, man, I wish we had more variety there. What made Ring of Honor unique, what made it special to me and a few others, is stripped away because a billionaire owner wants an excuse to make wrestling matches happen under a Ring of Honor banner. Hell, even CMLL, with no real outside financial pressure to do so, has dropped key aspects of what it is to seemingly make it more approachable, when it was already plenty approachable. Now their 6-man just won't have Captain Falls, which takes away some avenues for storytelling. Wrestling has become more centralized around WWE and AEW, and it is actively making the art form less diverse, and consequently for me, less fun. I do not dislike modern wrestling. I dislike the economic, political, and environmental factors that are making it what it is. When I see this, and I cannot stress this enough, great match, I can't see it just as a great match. I see a representation of wrestling becoming closer to a duopoly. Hell, eventually possibly a monopoly. The match is great, but I think it's a canary in a coal mine full of dead birds. Thank you for watching this ramble. I'm sorry if the thumbnail made you think I hate this match. I really don't. I can't stress that enough. But it inspired these feelings in me, and much like Shiryu Utami, when a match makes me crystallize how I feel about either a wrestling promotion or just wrestling in general, I have to strike while the iron is hot and get those feelings out. Normally revolving around the match in question that made me feel those feelings. And I hope you liked it. I'm sorry if it was depressing. And if you disagree, please give me that perspective, because I so desperately want to live in a world where I don't feel these things. But genuinely, thank you so much for watching. My 1000 subscriber special is still on, so if I get to 1000 subs, I'll release a video going over my top 100 wrestlers. It'll be long and rambly, and I don't think many people will agree, but honestly, with a top 100 list, it would be weird if you did agree. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. I made so many videos and I still don't know how to end them.